When wisdom lives through you, I believe that's one of the highest forms of teaching or transmitting ancient knowledge. Have you ever felt like you were born remembering something the world has forgotten? Like there's ancient wisdom living in your bones, but you're stuck trying to explain it in a world that values degrees over gnosis? What if you carry knowledge that predates written language? What if your soul remembers temple initiations, sacred ceremonies, and mystery teachings from civilizations modern archaeology hasn't yet discovered? SIRIUS-A starseeds aren't just interested in spiritual wisdom. They're walking libraries of it. They don't study ancient knowledge to learn it, they study to remember it. Some questions that haunt many SIRIUS-A souls include: how do you embody spiritual authority without ego taking over? How do you embody the teacher, the guide, or the wisdom keeper without becoming attached to being seen as special or superior? Because that's the double-edged sword for SIRIUS-A starseeds. They came here to illuminate paths for others, to preserve and transmit sacred knowledge, and to build foundations that will outlast their lifetimes. But the paradox is this: the moment that you believe you are the authority, you've lost the plot. The moment you think you've mastered the wisdom, you stop learning. So can you walk in ancient knowing and humility? Can you teach from authority while remaining a student? And can you be a torchbearer without claiming ownership of the light? The Sirius star system holds 3 distinct lineages, each carrying unique frequencies and sacred purposes. Hey, I'm Kellie, and in my previous video, I covered the galactic history of the Sirius beings. Today, we're covering SIRIUS-A, the sacred teachers and light bringers. But before we deep dive into SIRIUS-A specifically, let me give you the bigger picture. SIRIUS-A represents the sacred teachers and light bringers. These are the wisdom keepers, the temple builders, the ones who anchor cosmic law into practical reality. They carry authority, clarity, and radiant presence. They're here to teach, to build, and to preserve. SIRIUS-B represents the mystics, the dreamers, and empathic transmitters. These are the feeling ones, the emotional channels, the intuitive receivers. They transmit through vulnerability, flow like water, and heal through pure presence. We'll explore them in the next video. And SIRIUS-C represents the hidden library, keepers of the veil. These are the silent observers, the code carriers, the ones who exist without agenda. They hold what must be held until the time is right, and we'll cover them in the third video. Think of it this way: SIRIUS-A builds the temple, SIRIUS-B fills it with feeling and presence, and SIRIUS-C holds the codes within hidden chambers. All 3 lineages work together in the cosmic architecture of awakening, but today we're focusing on SIRIUS-A, the radiant ones, the torchbearers, the teachers who came to Earth remembering what humanity forgot. SIRIUS-A is located at approximately 14 degrees Cancer, depending on what year you were. It currently sits at 14 degrees and 27 minutes of Cancer. I use an orb of 2.40 degrees based on Astrology King's website. Special note here: because Sirius is a triple star system, if you have any alignments to this location in your chart, you will need to douse or check with your Akashic records, or meditate, or do some other form of intuitive discernment to see which of these specific frequencies are most active for you. It could be any or all 3 of them. For reference, SIRIUS-B is a smaller star and have a tighter orb than SIRIUS-A in your chart, depending on its orbital cycle at the time of your birth. Whether you have natal alignments to SIRIUS-A or simply recognize this lineage as your cosmic origin, this video will help you understand and work with these powerful frequencies. Hey there, quick update before we continue. If you're diving into Galactic and Starseed astrology but still feel a bit fuzzy on the basics, I made something for you. AstroSpeak 101 is my brand new course that takes you from staring at your astrology chart to actually speaking the language of the stars. No overwhelm. It's straight synthesis. Just 10 modules that build on each other until it all clicks. Launch pricing is $44, but only through March 22nd. Link is in the description. Okay, back to the video. So what makes SIRIUS-A souls different? If you carry this lineage, you'll likely recognize these patterns. You don't just learn spiritual concepts, you remember them. When you encounter ancient wisdom traditions, it feels more like coming home than discovering something new. You feel strongly about how spiritual teachings should be shared, preserved, or protected. You feel a deep responsibility to, quote, get it right, whether that's ritual, sacred geometry, or transmitting truth accurately. You're naturally drawn to teaching roles, even if you resist them. People look to you for guidance, clarity, or wisdom, often before you feel ready to provide it. You understand that embodied wisdom requires practical application, not just theoretical knowledge. And you may have memories or strong resonances with Egyptian temples, Atlantean mystery schools, or other ancient civilizations. If you're nodding along to these, welcome home, Syrian soul. You're part of a lineage that has been anchoring wisdom on Earth for thousands of years, and you're here now because this particular moment in human evolution requires what you can bring: ancient knowledge applied to modern challenges, sacred wisdom made accessible and practical, and light that doesn't just shine, it illuminates a path that others can follow. Every year, there are multiple alignments to Sirius, creating regular opportunities to connect with these energies and the star beings from this ancient lineage of wisdom keepers. For example, the moon travels through the entire zodiac in basically 28 days, creating a weekly connection through the conjunct, opposite, and square alignments. While the moon connects to Sirius weekly, the sun creates 4 powerful seasonal gateways throughout the year. You can use the following approximate dates as guidelines for when to tune into the SIRIUS-A energies through the seasonal gateways. July 3rd through the 9th for Sun conjunct SIRIUS-A in Cancer, October 3rd through the 9th for Sun square SIRIUS-A in Libra, January 3rd through the 9th for Sun opposed SIRIUS-A in Capricorn, and April 3rd through the 9th for Sun square SIRIUS-A in Aries. Also, some people give specific times to meditate for day or night. I say choose a time that best suits your energy and ability to focus, and just go with it, don't overthink it. Want to tap into SIRIUS-A energy right now? Whether you want to meditate or simply attune yourself to any transit, here are 3 core frequencies to focus on. Sacred authority, which deals with embodying wisdom without apology, owning your role as a teacher and guide while remaining humble in service to truth. Radiant transmission deals with being the torchbearer and light bringer, illuminating paths for others through your presence and authentic embodiment of cosmic law. And grounded building, which deals with anchoring sacred wisdom in practical reality, creating structures and foundations that preserve knowledge over generations. And if you want to go deeper with these energies, focus on this core message. I am a keeper and builder of sacred wisdom. I preserve what is ancient and make it accessible for today. I teach with clarity, build with purpose, and illuminate with integrity. You don't need SIRIUS-A alignments in your natal chart to work with these energies. But if you do have natal alignments, you may feel these frequencies more intensely. And you might also recognize the deep responsibility that comes with being a torchbearer. I have the Sirius triple star system conjunct Saturn in my natal chart. A good portion of my professional work has involved training others in one way or another. Much of this work may seem to fall in the category of mundane teaching, but I would argue that empowering others to reach their highest potential in any area of life is the sacred work. Starseed qualities and integration challenges. For those connected to SIRIUS-A energy, whether through natal alignments or simply recognizing this star family as your cosmic lineage, here are some of their key starseed traits and qualities. Your connection to ancient wisdom runs through your DNA and soul memory. You don't study spiritual traditions, you remember them. You're naturally drawn to sacred architecture, temple knowledge, and practical application of cosmic law in physical reality. You have a gift for teaching complex spiritual concepts with clarity, making the mystical grounded and understandable. Your presence carries natural authority and gravitas. People instinctively look to you for guidance, even in casual settings. You understand sacred geometry, ceremony, and ritual at an intuitive level. These practices feel like remembering, not learning. You're skilled at building and preserving wisdom traditions, so creating systems, frameworks, and foundations that outlast individual lifetimes. You have strong spiritual boundaries and energetic protection, and you understand guardianship as both an honor and a responsibility. You can navigate between realms with clarity and purpose, allowing you to bridge the mystical and practical with confidence. Along with these profound gifts come some integration challenges. Spiritual authority struggles, which offers the opportunity to learn embodied leadership without ego, superiority, or attachment to being seen as special. Rigidity around quote-unquote right ways, which teaches you to honor truth's many doorways, releasing dogma while maintaining the integrity of a transmission. Another integration challenge is teaching without listening, which can help develop the balance between sharing wisdom and remaining open to learning from others. Detachment from emotional messiness, which offers the opportunity to integrate human vulnerability alongside cosmic perspective, and also remembering that wisdom includes feeling. The burden of responsibility, which teaches you that being a wisdom keeper doesn't mean carrying everything alone. Perfection in spiritual practice, which can help you remember that embodiment is messy and authentic presence matters more than flawless execution. One way to tell where you are on your integration journey is this. When you can teach with authority and remain a humble student, you're making progress. When you hold wisdom without being the one who knows, you're getting there. And when you build foundation for others while remaining flexible enough to adapt, you're embodying your gifts. Remember, this is our curriculum. This is the assignment we volunteered for, and as soul who walks the earth as both ancient teacher and eternal student, as a radiant authority and a humble servant. These are the gifts of your SIRIUS-A lineage. Okay, talking about these SIRIUS-A qualities by themselves only gives you part of the picture. Where these energies land in your chart makes a huge difference in how you'll experience them in your life. Now that we have some clear ideas about the core traits and qualities of SIRIUS-A starseeds, let's explore SIRIUS-A energy through all 12 astrological houses. SIRIUS-A through all 12 houses. First house, the radiant presence, sacred gifts. Your presence emanates a timeless wisdom that seems ethereal yet accessible. People sense depth, authority, and spiritual maturity radiating from your being, often describing you as seeming older or more knowing than your years would suggest. Your identity is naturally aligned with teaching, guiding, and being a spiritual container for others awakening. You don't need to announce yourself as a teacher or wisdom keeper. Your presence does that work for you. There's a solar quality to your energy, like you're carrying a torch that illuminates the path for others simply by being authentically yourself. You have an innate ability to exemplify sacred knowledge rather than just intellectually understanding it. When you walk into a room, the frequency shifts, not through posturing or staged effort, but because your very presence anchors higher wisdom into physical reality. Others instinctively look to you for guidance, clarity, or reassurance, even in casual settings. Your appearance and self-presentation often carries elements of the sacred, whether through deliberate choice, like spiritual jewelry, meaningful adornments, or natural gravitas, the way you hold yourself, speak, or move through space. You understand that your physical presence is a vehicle for transmission. The transmission is learning to own your natural authority without apology. Your life's work includes demonstrating that spiritual wisdom can be grounded, practical, and accessible. You show others that being a light bringer doesn't require retreating from the world. It means bringing illumination into everyday life. The challenge here is balancing your sacred role with human vulnerability. You may struggle with feeling that you must always be, quote unquote, on as a teacher or guide, never allowing yourself to be uncertain, messy, or still learning. The challenge is remembering that embodying wisdom doesn't mean having all the answers. It means being authentic in your search for truth. Integration. Your radiant presence becomes most impactful when you express spiritual authority simply and naturally, rather than symbolic displays of mastery. Trust that your light shines brightest when you're living the wisdom, not when you're trying to live up to others' projections of what a wisdom keeper should be. Second house, sacred gifts. Your relationship with money, possessions, and security is deeply connected to your sense of sacred purpose. You value things for how they support your ability to teach, build, and preserve wisdom, rather than status or accumulation. When your work feels aligned with your values, creating material stability comes easily. When your resources flow from authentic purpose, such as teaching, healing, creating sacred spaces, or preserving knowledge, then abundance comes more easily. You instinctively know that spiritual work requires practical foundation. I mean, teachers need homes, sacred spaces need funding, and wisdom keepers need to eat. Your values center around preservation and legacy. You're drawn to objects, tools, and resources that carry meaning, history, or sacred significance. This might look like collecting books of ancient wisdom, investing in quality tools for your craft, or creating beautiful spaces where teaching and transformation can occur. You understand that intentional care for material things can be its own spiritual practice. And because you're looking for the spiritual purpose of mundane things, you may have particular talent in material stewardships and managing resources in service to the collective, such as fundraising for temples, organizing resources for spiritual communities, or building sustainable systems that support wisdom keepers across generations. The transmission, demonstrating that spiritual integrity and material abundance can coexist beautifully. Your life shows others that wisdom keepers don't need to live in poverty to prove their devotion. In fact, well-supported teachers can serve more powerfully and sustainably. The challenge here is releasing shame around having material needs or wanting financial security. Some Syrians carry unconscious beliefs that, quote-unquote, real spiritual people should transcend material concerns. Your challenge is recognizing that meaningful wisdom requires mundane support. You need a physical foundation to do this work. Integration. Build your material life as if you were constructing a temple. Everything you acquire, every financial decision you make, every resource you steward, let it serve the greater purpose of anchoring wisdom on earth. When your resources align with your values, abundant flow becomes a sacred practice. Third house, the voice of ancient truth. Sacred gifts. You're naturally drawn to symbolic communication, such as myths, metaphors, sacred geometry, or the hidden meanings within language itself. You may feel called to preserve endangered wisdom traditions, study ancient languages, or decode symbolic systems that carry teachings across time. Your mind works architecturally, building frameworks of understanding that others can navigate and explore. Your communication carries the weight and authority of ancient knowing. When you speak, people listen, not because you demand attention, but because your words resonate with the frequency of truth that cuts through superficial noise. You have a gift for taking spiritually complex topics or concepts and sharing them in a clear, accessible language. Often, you help others understand what they've always sensed but couldn't easily express. There's a teaching quality to everything you do, even in casual conversation. You don't lecture or posture, you simply illuminate. People often report that conversations with you help them see situations from higher perspectives or recognize patterns they've been missing. Your words create moments of recognition, like suddenly remembering something you always knew. You may have particular gifts with written transmission, creating texts, courses, or teachings that preserve wisdom for future generations. You understand that words are sacred technology, capable of carrying frequency and activation across time and space. When you write or speak with intention, you're not just sharing information, you're transmitting light. The transmission. showing others that truth speaking is both expression and responsibility. Your life demonstrates how to communicate wisdom without dumbing it down, how to be clear without being reductive, and how to honor complexity while remaining accessible. The challenge here is avoiding the trap of becoming dogmatic or overly attached to the quote-unquote right way of expressing truth. Sometimes your strong sense of what's accurate can make you rigid in communication, causing you to be dismissive of others' perspectives or experiences if they don't match your understanding. The challenge is remembering that truth has many doorways. Integration. Let your words be a torch, not a weapon. Speak to illuminate, not to prove. Trust that when you communicate from genuine knowing rather than need for validation, your truth lands where it's meant to land. Not everyone will understand, and it's okay. You're calling to those who are ready to hear. Sacred gifts. Home is your temple, and family represents a living lineage that stretches far beyond blood relations. You carry a profound sense of connection to ancestral wisdom, not just your earth family line, but the broader lineage of wisdom keepers, temple guardians, and sacred teachings across time. Your roots reach deep into ancient civilizations and mystery traditions. You have the natural ability to create sacred domestic space where healing, teaching, and transformation can occur. Your home often becomes a gathering place for spiritual community, learning, or ritual work. You understand that the foundation of all spiritual work is having a stable, protected base from which to operate. And you're gifted at creating that foundation both for yourself and for others. Family patterns often carry karmic significance for you, revealing teachings about how wisdom gets transmitted or blocked across generations. You may be the one in your family who breaks the silence around important truths, who preserves family history and stories, or who bridges generations by honoring elders while supporting youth. You understand family as sacred lineage, not just biological connection. Your emotional security comes from feeling connected to something larger than individual life, whether that's cosmic wisdom, spiritual lineage, or the long arc of human consciousness evolving across time. You may have strong past life memories of temple service, priestly roles, or priestess roles, or guardian duties that inform your present day sense of purpose and belonging. The transmission, demonstrating how to honor cosmic roots while remaining grounded in the present moment. You show others that connecting with ancestral wisdom doesn't mean living in the past. It means bringing ancient memory forward to serve current needs. The challenge here is not carrying the weight of the entire lineage on your shoulder. You may feel responsible for healing all ancestral wounds, preserving all family wisdom, or being the bridge for everyone in your line. The challenge is recognizing what's yours to carry versus what belongs to others' journey of discovering and remembering. Integration. Create home as sanctuary that honors both your star lineage and your earth family. Let your domestic life reflect the sacred through ceremony, ritual, beauty, intentionally designed spaces, or simply the quality of presence you bring to everyday activities. Your foundation becomes strongest when it serves as a base camp for your foundation becomes strongest when it serves as a base camp for your light-bearing work in the world. Fifth house, sacred creativity and ritual arts. Sacred gifts. Your creative expression flows through channels of the sacred, whether through music, visual art, performance, writing, or ceremonial practices. You create with awareness that art is innovative transmission. Your creativity isn't just self-expression. It's a vehicle for anchoring higher frequencies into form, activating others' remembrance, or preserving wisdom teachings in accessible ways. You're naturally drawn to ritual arts and ceremonial creativity. You may excel at crafting sacred ceremonies, designing meaningful rituals, creating experiences that guide others through threshold moments. Your creative projects often carry initiatory quality. People are changed by experiencing your work, not just entertained or informed. Joy for you is deeply connected to purpose and meaning. You find pleasure in activities that feel aligned with your sacred mission. So teaching workshops, creating beauty with intention, gathering community for ceremony, or any creative work that serves something larger than personal gratification. Romance and intimate connections thrive when they include a spiritual dimension. You're attracted to partners who can meet you in sacred space, who understand that love itself is an initiation, and who are willing to grow through relationship rather than just enjoy it. Your heart opens most fully when creative and spiritual energies can flow together. You may have particular gifts working with children or youth, helping them remember their own ancient wisdom and sacred purpose. You understand that the inner child and the ancient elder can coexist. The transmission, showing others that creativity is prayer, that pleasure can be sacred, and that joy doesn't diminish spiritual seriousness. Your life demonstrates how to weave the sacred into every form of expression and celebration. The challenge here is allowing yourself to create without it always needing to serve a higher purpose. Sometimes you need permission to simply play, explore, or make things that are beautiful or meaningful to you. The challenge is trusting that not every creative act must carry teaching or transmission. Integration. Let your creativity be an offering as well as a spiritual sacrament. Create what wants to come true, trusting that when you work from authentic inspiration, the sacred naturally infuses your art. Your most powerful creative work happens when you stop trying to make it meaningful and simply allow it to be. Sixth house, sacred gifts. Your approach to daily work and service is infused with spiritual purpose. You understand that true healing addresses root causes rather than just symptoms. that wellness includes physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual dimensions, and that service is most powerful when it empowers others toward their own wholeness. You're naturally drawn to work that bridges science and spirituality, so energy healing, holistic medicine, therapeutic practices that honor body, mind, and soul, or any profession where practical skill meets sacred intention. You may have particular gifts with sound healing, water therapies, or other modalities connected to Syrian frequencies and technologies. This includes healing practices from mystery schools, Egyptian medical wisdom, or specific Syrian healing technologies could be accessed to. Your daily routines work best when they include spiritual practice woven throughout, not as a separate quote-unquote meditation time, but as sacred awareness brought to ordinary activities. You might create ritual around morning routines, approach meal preparation as a ceremony, or structure your workday around natural rhythms and energetic cycles. The discipline comes from devotion rather than willpower. Well-being for you is directly connected to habits and alignment with purpose. When your work serves your sacred mission, your vitality increases. Your physical well-being is a biofeedback system showing you whether you're on path. You're naturally able to be the container for others' healing without taking on their energetic debris. You understand that true service means empowering people to activate their own inner healer, not making them dependent on you. Your presence creates a field where transformation becomes possible, but you don't need to force or control the healing process. The transmission of martyrdom, demonstrating that sacred service doesn't require martyrdom. When balanced, your life shows others how to serve powerfully while maintaining healthy boundaries, how to give generously while staying resourced, and how to make your daily work an expression of devotion rather than obligation. The challenge here is avoiding burnout from overgiving or taking on too much responsibility for others' well-being. You may struggle with knowing when to step back, when to let others struggle through their own processes, or when to prioritize your own needs over service to others. Integration. Structure your daily life as sacred practice. Let your routines support your well-being, your work demonstrate your purpose, and your service maintain a balanced flow rather than depleted actions. When you care for yourself with the same devotion you offer others, your capacity to serve expands naturally. 7th house. Sacred gifts. You attract partners that mirror and support your spiritual path. Your relationships aren't just romantic or personal, they carry an initiatory quality, designed to activate wisdom, challenge growth, and deepen your understanding of sacred union. We focus on creating relationships based on shared devotion to something larger than the partnership itself, whether that's mutual spiritual practice, collaborative spiritual teaching, or commitment to serving collective awakening. Your unions thrive when both people understand the relationship as a sacred container for individual and shared evolution. You may be drawn to partnerships that feel karmic or destined, relationships where you recognize soul-level agreements and shared missions from other lifetimes. There's often a teaching-learning dynamic in your connections, though ideally this flows by direction. You're both teacher and student, both guide and guided within the relationship. Marriage or committed partnerships for you often includes ceremonial or ritualistic elements that honor the sacred nature of union. You understand that sacred soul contracts are energetic agreements that create templates for how two souls will support each other's highest unfolding. You have a natural ability to see your partner's highest potential and divine nature, even when they're struggling to see it themselves. This gift can inspire profound growth in partners, though it can also create challenges if you're relating more to their potential than who they really are in the present moment. The transmission. Showing others that spiritual partnership doesn't require perfection. It requires commitment to truth, mutual respect for each other's paths, and willingness to do the sacred work of relationship with consciousness and care. The challenge here is avoiding the trap of relating to partners as students, projects, or people to save rather than equals to walk beside. You may unconsciously seek out relationships where you're the teacher, the more evolved one, or the spiritual guide, which creates imbalance and prevents genuine intimacy. Integration. Seek partnership that challenges you to grow as much as it supports you in being seen. Let your relationships be mirrors that reflect both your wisdom and your blind spots. True sacred union happens when two sovereign beings choose to walk together, not when one incomplete person seeks completion through another. 8th house. Sacred gifts. You're drawn to the hidden dimensions of existence. What lies beneath surface appearances, what remains unspoken in relationships and systems, and what gets concealed in shame or secrecy. This placement can also indicate mystery school initiation practices, Egyptian death and rebirth teachings, or specific Syrian transformation technologies. You understand that true power comes through surrender rather than control, that the most profound teachings live in what breaks us open, and that transformation requires death of old forms before new ones can emerge. You're not afraid of intensity, depth, or the raw truth of human experience in its full complexity. When you bring deep trust and intimacy of sacred partnership into this house, this could move you from surface level connection to soul level merging. This exemplifies the ancient wisdom you're able to access. Intimacy becomes a portal to sacred expansion. You may have interest in tantric practices, sacred sexuality, or understanding the kundalini energies that move through intimate connection. When balanced, shared resources flow easily because truth bypasses competition, fear, and jealousy. You understand the energetic agreements underlying material exchanges and can sense when these agreements are either balanced or exploitative. The transmission, demonstrating that transformation doesn't have to be dramatic. While you honor the intensity of threshold experiences, you show others that conscious initiation, when entered willingly with awareness and support, can be powerful without being destructive. The challenge here is not becoming so comfortable in the depths that you neglect lighter dimensions of your life. You may struggle with staying in transformational mode constantly, always processing shadow or seeking intensity, rather than allowing periods of rest, joy, or simple pleasure between initiations. Integration. Let yourself be both a guide through the darkness and a celebrant of light. Your deepest power emerges when you can hold the full spectrum: initiation and integration, death and rebirth, shadow and radiance. Trust that you don't need to stay in the mystery school forever. Ninth house, sacred gifts. Your mind naturally grasps cosmic principles, universal laws, and philosophical frameworks that organize reality. You're drawn to big questions about meaning, truth, and existence, not from intellectual curiosity alone, but from a deep need to understand how consciousness operates and how wisdom traditions across cultures point towards the same essential truths. You have the natural ability to synthesize teachings from multiple wisdom lineages into coherent understanding. You could see the common threads running through Egyptian mysteries, Eastern philosophies, indigenous wisdom, and modern spiritual teachings, recognizing that different cultures and eras discover the same cosmic laws expressed through their unique languages and symbols. Teaching and sharing wisdom are central to your purpose. You may be drawn to formal education, publishing, reading courses, or any work that preserves and transmits important knowledge to wider audiences. You understand that wisdom unused is wisdom lost. Teachings must be shared, applied, and passed forward to stay alive. Travel to sacred sites often carries special significance for you. You're drawn to temples, ancient structures, power places, locations where wisdom has anchored in a physical form. These journeys aren't just tourism. They're pilgrimages that activate something in your soul, reconnect you to your lineage, or download teachings that want to come through you. You may have particular interest in sacred law, ethical frameworks, or understanding the principles that govern spiritual evolution. You seek to understand not just what is true, but why it's true, the underlying architecture of consciousness and creation that makes reality function as it does. The transmission, showing others that wisdom traditions aren't museum pieces to study, updated. They're living teachings meant to be embodied, updated, and applied to current challenges. Your life demonstrates how ancient knowledge remains relevant when translated from modern context. The challenge here is avoiding philosophical rigidity or believing your understanding represents the only valid truth. You may become so certain about cosmic law that you dismiss others' perspectives, discount experiences that don't fit your framework, or judge others as quote unquote less evolved for seeing things differently. Integration. Let your philosophy serve life rather than override your journey. The truest teaching emerges not from perfect understanding, but from living your questions with integrity, remaining curious even in uncertainty, and recognizing that wisdom evolves as consciousness expands. The greatest contribution is empowering others to think more deeply, not telling them what to believe. 10th house, sacred gifts. You're here to hold visible leadership in preserving and transmitting wisdom. Your public role naturally aligns with teaching or stewarding sacred knowledge in ways that serve collective awakening. Whether through formal positions, such as professor, spiritual teacher, therapist, healer, or informal influence, such as community elder, wisdom keeper, trusted guide, you're recognized for depth, integrity, and spiritual authority. Your professional path often involves building structures that outlast individual lifetimes, such as creating schools, training programs, or institutions that preserve and transmit important teachings across generations. You understand that your career isn't just about personal success. It's about anchoring something that serves the collective long after you're gone. You have the natural ability to translate spiritual wisdom into practical application within worldly systems. You can work within established institutions while maintaining integrity, bridging spiritual and secular worlds, or create new professional models that honor both ancient wisdom and modern needs. Your reputation is built on demonstrated results, not just spiritual claims. Leadership comes naturally to you. People look to you for guidance because your track record speaks for itself. You've walked your talk, lived your teachings, and proven that wisdom works when applied with discipline and devotion. Your public presence often carries a quality of timelessness, like you're channeling something ancient through modern form. When balanced, you carry this purpose with a deep sense of responsibility and honor. The transmission, demonstrating that spiritual authority doesn't require perfection. It requires authenticity, ongoing learning, and willingness to hold leadership with humility. Your life shows others how to be visible without ego, how to teach without knowing everything, and how to hold power without abusing. The challenge here includes balancing public visibility with private humanness. You may struggle with feeling like your life is always on display, but you must maintain a certain image or meet others' expectation of what a wisdom keeper should be. The pressure to be, quote, always wise can be exhausting and isolating. Integration. Own your authority without apology, but not without humility. Let your public work flow from authentic purpose rather than need for recognition or fear of irrelevance. Trust that the right people will find your teachings at the right time. You don't need to reach everyone to fulfill your Sirian purpose. 11th house, sacred gifts. You naturally take on elder roles within groups, even if you're not the eldest person present. Your gift is helping communities stay connected to purpose, tradition, and shared wisdom that gives collective meaning and continuity. You understand how to honor what's been while remaining open to what's emerging, bridging the past and future through present awareness. You draw to groups, organizations, and networks focused on preserving ancient wisdom, serving collective awakening, or building systems that will support future generations. You may work with educational institutions, spiritual communities, or any collective dedicated to something larger than individual gain. You have a natural ability to see what communities need for long-term sustainability and health. You notice when groups are losing connection to their founding principles, when traditions are being abandoned without understanding their purpose, or when innovation is happening so rapidly that the wisdom of stability gets lost. You serve as an anchor point, reminding the collective of its roots while supporting its evolution. Friendships for you often center on shared values, mutual respect, and collaboration towards common purpose. You're drawn to people who are also in service to collective good, who understand that personal development and world service aren't separate paths. Your closest friends often become spiritual family, bonds that transcend blood relations through shared devotion. Your vision for humanity's future is both grounded and inspiring. You can see the potential for what humans might become while remaining realistic about current challenges. This balance helps you contribute to collective evolution without spiritual bypassing or naive optimism. The transmission, showing others how to serve communities without losing individual sovereignty, how to honor tradition without becoming rigid, and how to hold space for collective wisdom while respecting diverse perspectives. The challenge here is resisting the trap of becoming a dogmatic keeper of the old ways who blocks necessary change. Sometimes your strong connection to tradition makes you resistant to new approaches, dismissive of younger perspectives, or overly focused on preserving what was rather than discovering what wants to emerge. Integration. Let yourself be both tradition bearer and change agent. The wisdom you carry becomes most valuable when it's flexible enough to meet new circumstances, while stable enough to provide continuity. Your greatest gift to the community is demonstrating that we can honor our roots while reaching new possibilities. 12th house, sacred gifts. You carry connection to the deep mysteries, the hidden temples, and the veiled dimensions where sacred knowledge has been preserved across eons. Your spiritual path includes profound inner work, mystical experiences, and direct access to ancient wisdom that transcends intellectual understanding. You're naturally attuned to the realms beyond physical reality. You may experience vivid dreams, visions, or spontaneous downloads of information from sources you can't easily explain. These aren't random occurrences. They're transmissions from your soul lineage, activations of ancient memory, or teachings being passed through the veil for you to anchor in this lifetime. This house may also connect you to the mystery schools, inner temple practices, Egyptian underworld journeys, or specific Syrian mystery technologies. This placement often indicates past life service in temples, mystery schools, or sacred roles that require initiatory training and devotional dedication. You carry soul memory of these experiences, which informs your present understanding of ritual, ceremony, and the hidden architecture underlying visible reality. You understand that some wounds and wisdom live in the spaces between lifetimes, beyond personal memory, in the shared fields that connect all beings. Solitude and retreat are essential for your well-being. You need regular time away from social demands, outer world activity, and the noise of collective consciousness to reconnect to your deepest knowing. Your spiritual practice may include long meditations, vision rests, or periods of intentional withdrawal where you can hear the subtle teachings that only come in silence. The transmission, demonstrating that mystical experience and practical life can coexist. You show others that accessing hidden realms doesn't require abandoning the world. It enriches your ability to serve and teach when you return from the depths with wisdom to share. The challenge here is not getting so lost in mystical dimensions that you neglect your embodied life and responsibilities. You may struggle with spiritual escapism, using meditation or inner work to avoid dealing with practical challenges, relationships, or the messy complexity of being human. Integration. Let your mystical connection fuel your worldly service. The temple work you do in hidden realms finds its completion when you bring those teachings through the veil into manifestation. Your deepest purpose is being the bridge between dimensions, not choosing one over the other, but learning to walk in both simultaneously. Here's where it gets real. The cosmic curriculum you signed up for. This is where your SIRIUS-A connection invites you into deeper mastery through challenge. SIRIUS-A software. Past life gifts and what you bring in. Natural capacity to anchor cosmic wisdom into physical reality through building and teaching. Soul memory of serving as torchbearer, light bringer, and guide for others' awakening. Deep understanding of sacred order, cosmic law, and how to build structures that endure across time. Mastery of ritual, ceremony, and creating containers where transformation can occur safely. Natural authority and leadership presence. People instinctively look to you for guidance and direction. Comfortable holding positions of responsibility, spiritual authority, and public leadership. Past life experience as a priest or priestess, temple guardian, wisdom keeper, or sacred architect. natural ability to see the bigger picture, think strategically, and plan for long-term impact. Sirius A North, the soul's growth direction, what you're learning, growing into collaborative leadership. So sharing power, distributing authority, and trusting others' wisdom, balancing teacher role with student mindset, staying curious, open, and willing to learn from anyone, developing flexibility alongside tradition. So honoring what was while allowing what wants to emerge, balancing your devotion to truth with compassion for those still finding their way, learning to balance sacred authority with genuine humility and openness to being incorrect, transforming spiritual certainty into wisdom that can hold multiple truths simultaneously, evolving from guardian of tradition to bridge between ancient and emerging, mastering the art of making sacred wisdom accessible without diminishing its depth. Key evolutionary themes for Sirian starseeds: moving from duty-bound service to joy-inspired contribution, from spiritual authority to collaborative leadership, from isolated authority to connected community, from maintaining order to facilitating evolution, from spiritual seriousness to playful reverence, from teacher-centered to student-responsive, from building temples to being the temple, from sacred hierarchy to sacred equality, from certainty to curious exploration. The paradox you're mastering here is that your greatest strengths can become your greatest limitations. Now your soul is asking, can you hold your wisdom lightly? Can you teach without needing to be quote unquote right? Can you honor tradition while welcoming innovation? And can you maintain your authority while staying genuinely humble? This is the gift of Series A integration from the lunar nodes. Understanding that you don't carry the torch to prove your worth. You carry it because the path needs illuminating, not for you, for those coming behind you. The temples you build, whether physical structures, wisdom frameworks, or communities of learning, these aren't monuments to your greatness. They're sanctuaries of truth, foundations for future generations, and sacred architecture that will serve long after you've moved on. You're here to make wisdom accessible, practical, and usable for everyday people navigating everyday challenges. Ancient wisdom for modern souls. That's the Series A gift. Taking what is timeless and showing how it applies now. Taking what is sacred and proving it can be lived, not just studied. And taking what is cosmic and grounding it in earthly reality. You are the bridge, the translator, the torch bearer. And the world doesn't just need your knowledge. It needs your confidence in that knowledge. It needs your willingness to stand in authority without arrogance. And it needs your clarity when everything else is confusing. This is what I truly wish for you. That you shine your light, knowing that some will criticize, some will misunderstand, and some will finally see the path home. And may you remember that being a wisdom keeper isn't about having all the answers. It truly is about holding space for the questions that matter. Okay, your turn. What Series A gifts have you already activated? What Series A lessons are you still working through? And what area of life are you being called to step into your role as a teacher, a builder, or a light bringer? Drop a comment below. You know I love reading your stories. And if you resonated with Series A, stay tuned for the next 2 videos, where we'll explore Series B, the Mystic Empaths, and Series C, the Silent Code Keepers. Each lineage has unique gifts. Each carries sacred purpose. Together, they complete the Sirian mission on Earth. Until next time, remember humanity's a good project. So thanks for doing your part. Challenges. For those connected, your presence carries natural authority and gravitas. Remember, collaborate. That was a collaboration, Kelly. Come on. Collaboration. Collaboration and delegation are one way to tell where you are on your accessible, practical, messy, and authentic presence matters more than flawless execution. Like what I just did. Lord. Hey there, quick update. Update. Lord. Hang on, Bogadoo. You may work with educational intuitions, not getting so lost in mystical dimensions and service to the collective, such as fundraising for temples, serious challenges. Lord.